And they're the 12 tribe rulers according to the settlements and the camps. So he's given 12 sons. Numerous descendants is what they were told also. So that second promise, God says, the descendants of Ishmael will be too numerous to count, Genesis 16:10. But this promise has likewise been fulfilled. I don't know the exact number, because they are being killed off quite frequently. But and I don't mean that as a bad joke. It goes up and down. But they're around, for Arabs, there's probably over 200 million Arabs. A number that's just staggering to count. That's just in the world like today, not including the ones that have gone and passed on. Those are all part of the history. Just alive today, over 200 million. Numerous descendants. Say it's going to be a great nation. And in Genesis 17:20, this fulfillment can also be seen today. The Arab constitutes a great nation composed of 21 separate states all over that area. And the other thing he was told was that Ishmael was promised the land east of the land promised to Isaac's descendants. This was that second phrase of Genesis 16:12. He talks about he will dwell to the side of his brothers. In Genesis 25:18, we find that Ishmael's sons settled in the area from Havilah to Shur, near the border of Egypt, as you go toward Ashur. This is the land that is present-day Arabs still populate, south and east of Israel. In fact, they occupy 5.3 million square miles of rich oil land in that region. But then, something else God said that would be going on with Ishmael was his personality. How he's going to behave himself. How his descendants are going to behave themselves. They said like a donkey. And because of the stubbornness, he would live in hostility and contention with everyone around him, especially his brothers in Genesis 16:12. This attribution of hostility toward everyone, especially their Jewish brethren, is easily seen in today's Arabic people as a part of their nature from the very beginning. We're seeing it even unfolding here in the United States. Areas down in Miami where they're out there chanting in the streets, "We are ISIS, we are ISIS, death to Israel." They're up in Ohio doing the same thing, chanting, death to Israel. Arabs gather, and they gather together. They're desiring to put down Israel. They will not even live with peace, even when they're halfway around the world. They're desiring to overthrow and destroy Israel. A contentious and stubborn, you can't not talk them into something else. God already said it 4,000 years ago that this is the way they're going to behave themselves. They will be in anger against their own brothers. And it's tough to see this. They're going to live in hostility. And they're doing it, and I don't think it's going to go away very soon, of course. They're going to live in hostility, 25:18 says, to all their brothers. But what about this problem with the Palestinians? I hear this come up about the land belonging to the Palestinians and not belonging to Israel. That Palestinians were displaced and Israel was brought in as a nation. So therefore, the Palestinians have a right to their land because they were displaced because of Israel. That's a lie, by the way. I want y'all to know that. And it's being recorded. I'm telling you, it's a lie. I'm going to explain to you why. God has faithfully kept his unconditional promises to Ishmael. He has done exactly what he said he was going to do. He's going to have sons, numerous descendants. He's going to be ruler of princes. They'll be ruler of nations, and they own a large section of land that they rule. And they have been some of the wealthiest in the world are the Arabs, because God has promised them this prince-like living ways, and they haven't. God has kept his promises to them. But when we talk about these Palestinians, they were displaced from their home, and Israel was given the land that they were living on in order to form this Jewish nation. Don't all those refugees deserve a state of their own? And I want to hopefully answer that to you real quick while while I have a moment. See, before we talk about the land, however, let me try to have a better understanding of the Palestinian people themselves. See, words can confuse you, and you'll hear a word and you'll think something out of that word. You think Palestinians, okay, so they're Palestinians, so therefore they must be a group, like American Indians, or their own little area. They were living there and we displaced them. You have these weird concepts of when they're talking about the Palestinians. You got the Arabs over here, and then you got these Palestinians on the bank, West Bank, and they're trying to get their land back, and everyone's trying to give land back for the Palestinians. There's some problems with that. You need to comprehend this concept that Palestinians is sort of a fakery name. It's a name attributed to a certain area of people. See, Palestinians are just Arabs. They're Arabs, and if you listen and read the newspaper, you probably come away thinking that there's some indigenous group to that area, which is not the truth. Matter of fact, I think it was Yasser Arafat, he was the one that promoted this whole concept that we are our own people because we are from the Philistines. We're direct descendants of the Philistines, which is a lie. It was just another story trying to get people to believe that they are uniquely own that land and no one can take it from them. It was just lies to try to get the world to turn against Israel. The Palestinians are not descendants of ancient Philistine or the ancient Philistines. I don't know how to say it. But nothing further could be from the truth. I've already told you where they're from. And I was not saying anything because I was misunderstanding what the word Philistine. But it says here in Webster's dictionary that it's a non-Semitic people who lived in southwestern Palestine. Non-Semitic means that they did not descend from Noah's son Shem. They descended from one of his other sons, Ham. The Jews are considered Semitic because they are descendants of Shem through their father, Abraham. Thus we have the term anti-Semitic, or anti-Semitism, to describe a hatred for the Jewish people. And then, interestingly enough, because Abraham was Semitic, this also makes the Arabs Semitic. So therefore the Arabs in Palestine cannot be descendants of the ancient Philistines. Am I losing you on this one?
No.
Okay, I'm hoping I'm getting it to you. Because they're Semitic and the Philistines were not. So therefore, when they're saying they belong to this one area, they're from the same father line, and the Philistines were not. So there's no unique Philistine culture or country. It's just not. The ones that were there, God moved them in at that point when he said, go in and possess the land. But what we're seeing now coming up around World War I, they're trying to say that, no, that's when they were displaced. And it's not the truth. Another truth you don't hear about in the media is the fact there is no unique Palestine culture around today. It doesn't exist. One of those one of those Israeli things you get from David Zobar, it was a connection I made back when we were hearing from him. There was an article, and they made a big deal out of it. It was in one of the papers, and this person goes around trying to interview Philistines. They want to find some natural-born Philistines, some Palestinians, someone that would be uniquely brought to that land. So they searched for people that could tell them that they're from the Philistines, they're from Palestine. And the search went out. And they interviewed people, and they tried to determine, and everyone they would bring in, they'd say, find someone that would identify themselves as a Palestinian. And they'd ask that, do you speak a Palestinian language? And they would answer no. They speak Arabic. And answer if they wrote in any type of Palestinian letters. And they said, no, I write in Arabic letters and numerals. And they go on to questioned them about any knowledge of a Palestinian king, president, or prime minister. And finally, at the end of it, the full realm of scope, they come to the conclusion that there is no living resemblance or relic of a Palestinian unique to that area. It's a lie. It's been a lie for years. And it just keeps perpetuating itself, one generation after another, nobody checking it out. They went to search for these Palestinian peoples. Neither has there been a Palestinian nation. Almost without exception, politicians, even theologians, we accept the identification of Israel's territory as Palestine. And how this has been perpetuated all through these years, I don't know. You can go back to the Bible and you can look at some of the maps, and they talk about the Palestinian during the time of Christ. But historical documents, you will see that Palestine as a separate country and nation never existed. It was originally the land of Canaan and then became the land of Israel. And the word Palestine was never used in the scriptures one time. And you'll find the land in question referred to as Canaan, Israel, Galilee, Judea, Judah, and Samaria. But you will never find it called Palestine. Palestine was a name given to that region by Romans as a slur to the Jewish people that were living there. Just like you're called Christians because of who you are representing by, they were called Palestinians and they were calling it to the Jewish people because of the area. There's just a slur on their name. It's the only historical record we can get that the Palestinians were actually the Jewish people living there being slurred by the Romans. But on Newsweek, you won't say that. The land belongs to Palestine. Give up land, you get peace. It's never going to happen. It'd be like a person from Kansas who's Kansas Midwest, right? Kansas is the Midwestern area. So it'd be like you saying and said, you're a Midwesterner. So now that you're a Midwesterner, you're going to want your own state or union. So now it's no longer going to be called Kansas, we're going to be called Midwesterners. We're going to govern ourselves under that one type of Midwesterners instead of being Kansas. That's what they're trying to do, to manipulate the world court and the world view against Israel. And they use lies to do it. So when you read the news and you look it up, it'd be good to know where you're getting your reference from the Word of God. And I hope I'm not losing you people. But Midwest, that's just a term used for people living in that area. It doesn't mean they get their own certain region or country. Neither does Palestine. It's a simple term used to describe a certain region of the Middle East. It doesn't mean there were people uniquely to that area. It was just a slur brought up through history. So keep in mind, if we continue, last little subject here, that there is no unique group of people of Palestinian descent. Those who claim such title are Arabs. I hope I got that across to y'all. Living in that land around Israel. But how did the Palestinian problem come about? The problem of Arab refugees with no place to call home. Well, to put it bluntly, the best way I can figure, I love war stories. I love the black and white documentaries of certain war things that were going on. I love them. I'll look at them and I'll read over on them. Any TV documentary on it, I'm listening to it. It's the only blunt way to put it, the Arab problem is attributed because of the Arabs. That's it. When Israel in World War I became the British was going to give them that land in that decree, they kind of self-inflicted themselves, and with just making bad decisions and pure propaganda. I want to really simplify the whole issue with just these things. When Israel became a nation in May 14, 1948, overnight the Arabs declared war on Israel, and with that declaration, the Arabs created two problems. Okay, get this: two problems. One, the refugees. First problem was they created the Arab refugee problem. No matter what others may lead you to believe, Israel did not create the Arab problem, because if you look at even through their history, they're open to whomever will stay in that country with them. They're very open, and other religions are in that area. But when they declared war on Israel, the Arab states encouraged the Arabs living in that area who were there, brought in by the Israelis to help, and we were paying them, and they were helping them to grow the place. He was living very nicely. They were told them to flee their homes temporarily, so that from what I was told, they would flee, and then the Arabs would move in and destroy Israel and allow the Arabs living to come back in. And as y'all know, that didn't work. They declared war on Israel, and they didn't last very well.